Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 13 of A Happy Moment. I've always enjoyed listening to music a lot, and today I just want to give you a brief look at my musical journey in life so far. The title of this episode, Angry Music, is what my parents would call the music I listen to, but one person's angry music is another person's happy music. Of course, it wasn't always angry music. When I was a kid, I was a big fan of Weird Al Yankovic. I enjoyed all of Al's crazy spoof songs, such as classics like Amish Paradise and Eat It. He took songs I didn't care about and made them interesting and funny. Plus, he's also a really talented musician, too. I also remember being into MC Hammer when You Can't Touch This came out. My mom had a collection of classic rock cassette tapes, and from that, I started listening to Aerosmith, so that was kind of my introduction to the rock genre. But other than that, for the longest time, it was mostly just Weird Al and Aerosmith. Then when I was in the 10th grade, that's when things started to change a little bit. That summer, one of my cousins came up to visit and he brought a friend with him. The friend had a copy of Rage Against the Machine's self-titled CD. I listened to that and I was hooked. And that's the point that I started getting into heavier music. Being a kid at that time and going into a music store was kind of similar to going into a video store. You see all these movies in the horror section that have all these really cool covers on it, but you're too young to rent them. Then you go into the music store and you see all these heavy metal CDs with really cool covers, but again, you're too young to purchase them. However, workers at the music store were a little more lax. Despite having the parental advisory warning label on the front of it, I went to the music store and I was able to purchase that Rage Against the Machine CD. Then when I got home, the first thing I did was try and scrape that label off so that my parents wouldn't see it. From there, I moved on to bands like Rob Zombie, Ozzy, Static X, Pantera, Slayer, Cold Chamber, Danzig. Those are all the bands I listened to in high school, and I still do. There was one point during high school where I did experiment with swing music a little bit in the Brian Setzer Orchestra. That phase didn't last too long. There was a girl I liked who listened to it, so I think I was just trying to be cool. But from high school on, I've been a metalhead ever since. The only thing that's really changed is I've kind of expanded into the various subgenres of metal, like symphonic metal, black metal. After high school, I started listening to bands like Cradle of Filth, which that was actually a bit of an acquired taste. The first time I listened to Cradle of Filth, I thought that my ears were going to start to bleed. It wasn't until a few years later where I gave them another chance that I really liked them. Lacuna Coil, Nightwish, those are a couple others from my college years that I really like a lot. But coming out of that time period, my favorite band was, and still is, Danzig. I've always enjoyed listening to Danzig a lot, and in 2005, that led to my very first concert experience. There are none more black, for they are the blackest of the black. That was the tagline for the 2005 Blackest of the Black tour, a concert tour that was started by Glenn Danzig. One of the unfortunate things about living in northern Michigan is that you have to travel really long ways if you want to go see a big concert. But I knew at the time that this was definitely something I wanted to do, so I made the trip down to Detroit for it. The lineup for that tour was Danzig, Chimera, Behemoth, Himza, and Mortis. I was really nervous at the time, and once the concert started, I was just kind of hanging out in the back. But about halfway through Mortis' set, I thought, man, this is really cool. I think I need to get closer. I moved up to join the larger mass of people, and I'm glad I did because I had a really awesome time. Not only did I get to see my favorite band, but there was also a bit of a bonus there too. Glenn Danzig was the singer for another one of my favorite bands, punk band The Misfits, back in the 70s. One of the guitar players that The Misfits had was Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein, and he was at this concert too. It was kind of like a mini Misfits reunion. And after Danzig played his songs, Doyle came out and they played a Misfits set. And that was really awesome. The crowd was crazy too. It was a great time. In fact, I had so much fun at this concert that I decided I wanted to do it again. So a couple weeks later, I flew out to California to see the show in Los Angeles. I had a couple friends online that I knew from the Danzig message board, and I got to meet up with them in Los Angeles and hang out. It was awesome the first time, and it was awesome the second time, especially having friends to hang out with too. At this point, I've seen Danzig live more than any other band. I think I've been to 5 concerts now, 5 times, and Danzig's been great each time. I am kind of sad though because he hasn't been to Michigan since I believe 2017 was the last time I saw him. I think that was the last time he did a big tour across the country. He still plays a few shows a year, but mostly on the West Coast. I'm definitely hoping I'll have one more opportunity, but who knows? I know Glenn's getting up there in age, so we'll see. Other concerts I've been to include Rob Zombie and Lacuna Coil. That was a really good one. Rob also played some songs from his White Zombie days, which was really neat. I saw Typo Negative and Lordi. That was a really good one. Typo Negative, definitely one of my all-time favorite bands. And Lordi is a Finnish metal band that dresses up like monsters. They have this really great album called The Apocalypse. Came out in 2006, I think. It's a great album. If I had a top 10 list, I think this one might have a spot on there. And while they released a lot of material since then, it's been good, but it hasn't quite been at the Apocalypse level. This concert was also my first experience with public nudity. It took place shortly before Halloween, so they had a costume contest where fans who wore a costume could go up on stage and be judged by the crowd. And some of the ladies, in an attempt to get a larger crowd reaction, decided to remove a few articles of clothing. And I gotta say, their plan did work. I'm really grateful I got to go to this concert though. Like I said, Typo Negative, one of my all-time favorite bands, and a couple years after this, singer and bass player Peter Steele would pass away. I was definitely sad, but I'm grateful I did have this one opportunity. One of the more disappointing concerts I've been to was Primus. From a music standpoint, they were really good. The only downside was singer Les Claypool. He was giving off serious, I really don't want to be here vibes. There was almost zero crowd interaction. He said maybe one or two words the entire time, and that was it. I know you're going to a concert to see the band play, but it's also nice when they at least acknowledge the crowd and interact with them a little bit. In 2013, I was at another Danzig concert, and one of their opening bands was the Butcher Babies. The Butcher Babies have since gone on to become another one of my favorites. I enjoyed the set they played, but it was after the concert was over that I really got hooked. After the show, they met with fans, and they were really cool. They were super nice. I got some autographs. I got my picture taken with them. I'll see if I can track that down and post it on my Twitter page. In 2016, I took a vacation and I got to see 2 concerts about 10 days apart from each other. The first one that I went to was Baby Metal. If you've never heard of Baby Metal, you are missing out. I recommend going over to YouTube and searching for a few of their songs. A couple of their more popular ones are Gimme Chocolate and Karate. It's a very fun band. Unfortunately, the concert was not that great. It had nothing to do with the band. The band was great. The only problem was that I picked a really bad place to stand, and for the majority of the concert, I couldn't see the stage at all. So I was basically just staring at the backs of people's heads most of the time. Like I said, the music was great though, and that's probably one of the more wild concert crowds that I've seen. The second concert of that vacation was Lacuna Coil and the Butcher Babies, which was my second time seeing each of them. The crowd was amazing, the bands were amazing. Overall, really good time. Definitely one of the top concerts I've been to. I also got to have a really cool moment at this show. Lacuna Coil was doing autographs. So they're at their table, signing autographs, shaking hands with the fans. And I'm thinking, I'm about to meet Christina Scabia of Lacuna Coil. I'm not settling for a handshake. I'm going in for the hug. So when it was my turn, she offered her hand. I'm like, nope. And I went in for the hug. There was a table between us, and I wouldn't be able to reach her all the way if she didn't reciprocate. Fortunately, she did. I hugged Christina. It was awesome. I was also wearing my Hugger shirt, which, if you watch the WWE and you're a fan of Bayley, you know the one I'm talking about. She also got a kick out of that, so that was cool. And to be fair, I did hug the guys too. But much like a few years before that, when I met the Butcher Babies, everyone in Lacuna Coil was really awesome, super nice. It was a very cool experience. In 2019, that brings us to the last concert that I've been to. Cradle of Filth, Wednesday 13, and Raven Black. This show was extra special because my wife went with me, and it was really great to have the opportunity to do that with her. This was my first time seeing Cradle of Filth, and they were really good. I was excited to see Wednesday 13, but his set was a bit of a letdown. I have his first CD, which I like a lot, it has some really good songs on it. Unfortunately, he didn't play a single song off of it, so I wasn't familiar with any of the songs he did do. That's okay, I still enjoyed it though. And the other opening band, Raven Black, that was a surprise. They were new to me, but I really enjoyed them. Afterwards, my wife and I got our picture taken with their singer. Sadly, I think the picture is lost because my phone broke before I could transfer the picture to a computer. At least I have the memory, though. So, like I said, that was the last concert I've been to. In 2020, I didn't go to any for obvious reasons, but it seems like things are finally settling down a little bit with COVID. So, I'm definitely hoping to go out and see some more concerts soon. A couple bands I'm bummed out that I'll never get the chance to see are Pantera and Slayer. Pantera had broke up quite a while ago, and since then a couple of their members have passed away. And Slayer, they retired. I suppose there's always a chance they could play again, but I have a feeling they probably won't. But those are another two of my all-time favorite bands. I would have really liked to see them live. With Slayer, I did have opportunities, but I never went. I think I was a little bit intimidated by the fact that they always played at larger venues. I'm not a big fan of crowds, so I think that kind of scared me away a little bit. If you're wondering what kind of music I'm listening to now, well, like I said earlier, I'm still pretty much listening to the same bands I did in high school and college. As far as just like newer bands in the last 10 years or so, uh, I can't think of any new ones I've really started listening to. The newest one would probably be Huntress. Huntress was really great. I enjoyed them a lot. Unfortunately, they only released 3 albums. After that, their singer Jill met a tragic end back in 2018. So that was a pretty big bummer. Very sad. Very good band though. They made some really cool music videos that you can check out on YouTube. I also want to talk a little bit about local bands. About 7 years ago, I went to my first local show. It was Assault the Silence doing a tribute to Metallica, and it was really good. After that, I thought, I've really been missing out on a lot of good music here in Northern Michigan, and I've tried seeing at least a few shows every year since then. Assault the Silence is really good. A couple of the other bands I've seen are State the Odds and Catharsis Theory. All three of those bands are really good. Definitely check them out. I know you can find all of them on Spotify. That's all I've got for you today. Thanks for joining me. If you want to talk about your favorite bands or if you have any concert stories to tell, you can find me on Twitter at A Happy Moment Pod. I'd be happy to hear from you. There's a wide variety of music out there, and you should listen to whatever makes you happy. However, having said that, if you don't like metal, I do feel a little bit sorry for you. The energy from metal is amazing, especially if you're at a concert, and it's something I hope to experience again in the near future. All right, I'll see all of you next time. Thanks again, and take care.